Welcome to a very special Super Bowl edition of the Tailgate. That's Ralph Vacchiano. I'm Michelle Margaux. And Ralph, Brady against Mahomes. Could this be the greatest QB matchup in Super Bowl history?
Well, it's certainly going to be up there if Patrick Mahomes continues his career trajectory. We've had some good ones over the years. Brady and Russell Wilson, Peyton Manning and Russell Wilson. A few years back, there was a Drew Brees, Peyton Manning Super Bowl that might be one of the best quarterback matchups of all time. But, obviously Brady's the GOAT. Patrick Mahomes is chasing him. So in a few years, we might look back at this one as one of the greatest ever.
What was the greatest Super Bowl moment that you ever witnessed from a New York standpoint?
Well, I'd like to say there were so many, but from a New York standpoint, there's only a couple. Since I'm, believe it or not old enough to remember the Jets being in the Super Bowl, it has to be Super Bowl 42. I mean, that whole run was incredible, but the moment, of course, is the Eli Manning to David Tyree throw and escape and helmet catch is just, something you never forget when you see it.
Well, later in the show, we are going to hear from Tom Brady on why that was one of the worst Super Bowl and football moments of his career. And we're going to be joined by one of the guys who made it such a bad experience for Brady. Let's dive into the comments section. In front of the show, Albert Breer reported that the Jets actually looked into Matt Stafford before he was traded. So does this indicate, Ralph, that they were looking to move on from Sam Darnold?
Well, it certainly indicates that they're open to the idea. I don't think Matthew Stafford was ever a realistic option for them, but they wanted to make the phone call to see what the price was. Joe Douglas is going to do his due diligence. He's going to look into every available option. They may still end up keeping Sam Darnold, but the fact that he placed the phone call, if he was settled on quarterback for the long term, he wouldn't have looked into it. So he's at least open to the idea.
So what does that Stafford trade tell you about what the Jets or even the Giants would have to give up for Deshaun Watson?
Well, nothing that we didn't know. It's going to cost a lot. It's a different situation than the Stafford trade because Deshaun Watson is younger, better, been to more Pro Bowls, signed to a better contract given his age and the length of it. But they're going to have to give up. We've known all along it's probably going to be at least 3 first-round picks. This is interesting. A reporter from Houston theorized that it might be a couple of first-rounders, a couple of second-rounders, and a couple of defensive starters, like for the Jets, Quinnen Williams. And I actually put a poll on Twitter to see if Jet fans would be willing to pay that because they love the idea of Deshaun Watson, and they overwhelmingly were against it.
I feel like if you have to give up the entire team for one player, that's probably where you draw the line.
Yeah, it can be a little much. You don't want it to be like the Herschel Walker trade where you give up your entire draft. If Quinnen Williams is the Jets' best player, you give up him, your defense is going to suffer.
Let's welcome in longtime Giants defensive end Osi Umenyiora. Thank you for joining the Tailgate.
Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
I want to take you back to when the Giants drafted you in 2003. What do you remember most about that moment?
Well, I remember it being a shock because, I was sitting at home and, my agent was telling me I wasn't going to go until the second day, somewhere around the 4th or the 5th round. So I told all my family not to be there. So I was sitting at home just on the couch watching the draft. And then all of a sudden my agent calls me and he's like, something strange is going on here. I think New York is about to draft you. And I'm like, yeah, right. And then the guy goes up there and he starts struggling to pronounce a name. I was like, oh, this really is about to happen. And then they called my name and then, all hell broke loose after that. Everybody started calling me, all the people from my school, my family, because I was by myself at home. And once they got the news, it just kind of went crazy.
And it became such a long relationship for you. I know that, you and those guys from that 2007, 2011 team are still invested in a lot of ways in the Giants and their successes. And I know back in October, you'd been critical of them, saying that they didn't really have an identity anymore. What did you see over the last half of the season? Did anything you saw out of that team make you change your opinion about their identity and the direction that they're headed now?
100%. I mean, they definitely have an identity now. They're a tough football team. It's not an easy out. They say all the time that, a team will eventually morph into the personality of their head coach. And we did that with Tom Coughlin. And I think you can see that with Joe Judge and these New York Giants. And so I like the hire. I like Joe Judge as the coach. I like the way they're playing. I think if they can, bring in a couple of more pieces to, help on that offense, I think they're going to be a really good football team for a couple of years here.
They obviously, I mean, the defense, as you mentioned, has been very good. They even found a little bit of a pass rush. They got 11.5 sacks out of Leonard Williams. Do you want to see the Giants bring Leonard Williams back, or do you think maybe they should look at the market for a Shaq Barrett or Yannick Ngakoue, somebody like that?
So Leonard Williams is a really good player. What I saw, to be completely honest with you, is that those DBs, man, that defensive backfield, that secondary, they were really, really instrumental in pressure, getting there. I didn't see like just flash, them getting to the quarterback. I saw the DBs, really holding down the receivers and giving the defensive line time to get there. I would love for them to bring in, obviously a really dynamic pass rusher, because this is what the New York Giants have always been about. So I would love to see them continue in that tradition.
All right, let's call an audible. And since we last spoke, the Jets have a new head coach. And it's safe to say, Ralph, that Robert Saleh has checked all the boxes so far?
Yeah, he was impressive. In his short introduction to the Jets Nation, whether it was his introductory press conference or all his subsequent interviews, he did exactly what you want. He didn't screw up. He had a nice catchphrase.
Get used to the mantra, all gas, no break.
He even took a little pot shot at the Giants fans, which I'm sure the Jets fans like, saying that Jets fans are more invested in their team. So he gets into the rivalry a little bit. People talk about winning that press conference at the beginning. I always look at it as you just don't want to lose it, and he didn't.
Well, where Robert Saleh impressed, new Lions head coach Dan Campbell announced his presence with authority.
We're going to kick you in the teeth, all right? And when you punch us back, we're going to smile at you. And when you knock us down, we're going to get up. And on the way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off, all right? And we're going to stand up. And then it's going to take 2 more shots to knock us down, all right? And on the way up, we're going to take your other kneecap, and we're going to get up. And then it's going to take 3 shots to get us down. And when we do, we're going to take another hunk out of you. Before long, we're going to be the last one standing.
Dan Campbell surprised me. I actually knew him when he played for the Giants years ago, and he was quieter. We always thought of him as a bit of a cowboy. He had a little twang in his voice. He was a big guy, spoke with authority and had a presence, but wasn't really crazy. He's gone from cowboy to Tony Soprano in a flash. Now talking about busting kneecaps and biting people, and it was, I'm sure, kind of fiery and got some Lions fans excited, but I think there was also a little bit where you looked at it and recoiled in horror and thought, I think this is just a little bit over the top.
Well, how about new Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni?
We're gonna have systems in place that are easier to learn. All right, complicated to the defense or offense that they're going against, or the special teams group they're going against, but easy for us to learn. Because when we can when we can learn our system and we can get good at our system, then our talent can take over. Less thinking equals talent take over, but we need to have systems in place, and we will have systems in place to do so.
I've seen a lot of introductory press conferences from coaches. Some are a little strange. Some, the guy doesn't have a presence. There are others like Tom Coughlin where, there are people in the room that want to run through a wall when he's done. They're so fired up. I've never seen a coach's press conference where after hearing him, I had to say, wait, what? I just didn't understand half of what he was saying. And, players are watching that and they had to be shaking their head that, oh my goodness, what is this guy talking about?
Well, the best part of these intros is that it is suit season and we get to see these guys in a suit for the first and only time.
Yes, they don't wear a suit on the sidelines anymore, not since Dan Reeves way back when, but most of them are pretty well dressed, but it's hard to get the image out of my head of Ben McAdoo with his oversized tent suit at his introductory press conference and bad haircut. It's an image that did not set a good tone for the McAdoo era.
We'll go to Osi Umenyiora.
My guy.
What's up, Tom? How you?
I'm happy I'm not playing you this weekend. That 2007 game was one of my least favorite football memories, just so you know. But partly because I had a lot of you on top of me with grass stain on my back. You and Trey and Justin, and you guys had a great defense, and you guys were an incredible opponent that day, and you guys deserve the wins.
All right, so we're gonna take it back to Super Bowl 42. Leading up, the Giants pass rushers seemed pretty certain that they were going to be able to rattle Tom Brady. Why were you guys so confident that you could get to him?
Well, I think obviously we had the best defensive line in football that year. As a matter of fact, we probably thought we had the best defensive line of all time at that particular juncture. So we had played them in the week before the playoffs started, and I think we were able to generate quite a bit of pressure on Brady. We didn't get sacks, but we were able to be in his face. So I think leading up to the game, we knew we were playing at a high level. We knew we were better along the defensive line than they were on the offensive line, and we also knew that if we were going to stand a chance of winning the game, we were going to have to be able to get after the quarterback, and that's exactly what we were able to do.
Is that the key with Tom Brady, to get in his face and try to rattle him? Because that's really what worked for the Giants in Super Bowl 46 as well.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much the only key in that particular Super Bowl. The first one, we're able to get hits, and then the second one, we're able to generate quite a bit of pressure and get our arms up in the air, disrupt his vision, disrupt his timing, and all these things have a negative effect on the quarterback.
You alluded to it earlier, how good your D-line was in 2007. You, Tuck, Strahan. Do you think the Chiefs have players to duplicate your success this year?
Nobody does. I think that's a very unique situation, but they do have some very good football players. They have Chris Jones, a defensive tackle, a really good player. They have Frank Clark, a defensive end. But I don't think you could really say those players are similar or the same level of players that we had in their year when you had a Hall of Fame player, Michael Strahan, still playing at an elite level. You had a young Justin Tuck coming in from the inside, and then I was also a Pro Bowl player coming off the right end. Very few people are able to boast such a level of talent in the defensive line. But I think what Steve Spagnuolo is going to do is he's going to mix in his blitzes, he's going to mix in his coverages to try to give Tom Brady different looks, to make him hold the ball for just a split second, to give those players an extra second to get there.
All right, let's flip it to the other side. We know Brady's good. We know the key is pressuring him. He's going up against a pretty good quarterback in Patrick Mahomes, who's a much different type of quarterback. How do you game plan against a guy like him?
Well, see, it's the exact same thing. I don't think there's anything different. I think the Kansas City Chiefs, they're going to be in a bit of a bind here because they're going up against a defensive line with some tremendous pass rushers. And the Kansas City Chiefs are missing two of their starting offensive tackles. All Todd Bowles, the defensive coordinator, is going to have to do is he's going to have to allow his DBs to just sit back a little bit, not giving them anything quick, maybe be more physical with them at the line of scrimmage so they don't get those quick passes off, and that pressure should be able to get home. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to be in big trouble in this game.
You mentioned one of those pass rushers, Jason Pierre-Paul, who you played with early in his career. Did you see him then becoming the great pass rusher he is now? And are you amazed at how he still is on top of his game despite all he's been through with that fireworks accident and what happened to his hand and everything else?
No, not at all. I think maybe 99 out of 100 players, their career would have been over, but not that guy. That is a very special individual. And I think we knew that early on his rookie year, you could see him developing, but that second year he had, in my opinion, the best season from a defensive lineman we've ever seen in the Giants' history, outside of what Michael Strahan did with his 22-sack season. So when you see a player like that with that level of athleticism and that level of dynamic ability, you just knew he was going to be able to play for a very long time at a very high level. I'm not surprised by his success at all. We speak pretty much all the time now, and he's the same guy he always was. Fun-loving guy, happy, and he's a little more humble now than he was before. But he's just a really good guy, man, and I'm so happy for him.
Who do you think wins the ring this time? Which team, and who do you think will be the MVP?
I'm leaning towards Tampa simply because of what they've been through. And there'd be nothing better for me than to see JPP win a Super Bowl MVP, man. That would be incredible.
Osi, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate you joining us.
No worries, man. Anytime. Thank you so much.
I'm in the pocket. Woo! I'm in the pocket. Woo!
Let's head in the pocket where we try to put money in your pocket. And Ralph, possible hot take. I think the best part of sports betting is prop bets. So for Super Bowl week, I've come up with a couple, and I'm going to see what you think. Ready?
I'm ready. I love them.
All right. Gatorade color.
Well, I'm going to bet orange. I think that if the winner is going to be doused with orange Gatorade, and believe it or not, I got a lot of time on my hands during this pandemic. I've actually researched this, and the Chiefs won last year, and they did dump orange Gatorade on Andy Reid. I don't know what the Bucs will do. I know that Tom Brady doesn't drink Gatorade. He has this odd lemony concoction, so that's either yellow or clear. But at least with orange, you got a 50-50 shot. I'm taking orange plus 125.
All right, well, I'm going with red, which is plus 250, because both teams have red in their team colors.
It's as good a reason to bet a prop bet as any.
All right, moving on. Coin toss, heads or tails?
You know, if I had remembered to bring a coin, I was actually going to flip it just to pick, but this is like the ultimate dumb bet to me, but I'll pick heads just for the fun of it. I have no reason.
I want tails. Tails never fails. Will an offensive or defensive lineman score a touchdown?
You mean a fat man touchdown? It's certainly possible. I mean, they've got enough athletic offensive and defensive linemen, but unless it's a fumble recovery or something, I don't think you want to get too crazy on offense in a Super Bowl, and they have so many other offensive weapons. It's not worth a bet at minus 2,000 to say no, but no, I don't think it's going to happen.
All right. Who is going to win MVP?
I'm kind of all in. I don't want to give away my Super Bowl pick, but I'm kind of all in on Tampa Bay at this point. And if Tampa Bay wins the Super Bowl, it's got to be like 95% that Tom Brady is going to win the MVP. Even if he just does a tiny little bit, he'll get the sentimental vote if nothing else.
Yeah, Mahomes is favored. I'm going with Travis Kelce at plus 1,300. Thank you. That's all I need to say.
That's the best value on the board, no doubt about it.
So you heard it here first, just so you guys know if that happens.
Michelle's Lock of the Week.
How many times will Bill Belichick be said?
Wow, the over-under on this is 1, and that's absurd to me because they're going to be talking about Bill Belichick and Tom Brady the entire broadcast. So I am going over, way over for the minus 150. That's going to be a winning bet by the end of the first quarter.
My personal favorite, Puppy Bowl winner, Team Rough or Team Fluff?
I don't know who's on the team, so it's hard to tell, but I'll say Team Rough because I like the name better. But I will tell you this, I actually, at a past Super Bowl, went to the Puppy Bowl party during the week, and it's still one of my greatest Super Bowl memories.
All right, last but not least, who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl, Ralph? Chiefs are 3-point favorites at Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I am. I'm all in on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think that I think this could be a great game, a great offensive game. But the Bucs, to me, have the defense to go with it. Todd Bowles has done a great job turning that into a dangerous defensive team. They can run the ball like crazy. Running the ball and defense are still two things you really need to do to win and maybe slow down a top offense like the Chiefs. And if it comes down to the quarterbacks, it's a pretty even matchup. But again, I know Eli Manning's not there, so most of the time in a Super Bowl or a big game, I would go with Tom Brady over just about anybody.
Ralph's Lock of the Week.
Let's get into victory formation. And Ralph, the probably most important question I've ever asked you. Should the day after the Super Bowl be a holiday?
I think the NFL's headed there. I think that's their ultimate dream, to extend the season, have Super Bowl weekend coincide with President's Day weekend, so they have that holiday on Monday. I think it would be great. The amount of people that watch it, you may as well take the next day off.
So I'm very divided on this subject. I don't think it should be a holiday because I think there's a lot of people who don't care about sports, but I do think that Americans need more holidays.
Yes.
Because we get burnt out and it backfires.
Right, and that's why the perfect solution is put it on President's Day weekend. You're going to have the Monday off anyway. We all win, although a separate holiday and an extra one would probably be better. Maybe they can extend it all the way to Tuesday, give us 2 days to recover.
All right, so the world is obviously very different in 2021, and Super Bowl parties are currently a thing of the past. But do you think that's actually a good thing? Is it better to watch the Super Bowl with a big group or by yourself?
Boy, I'm the wrong person to ask. This is a picture of my Super Bowl party last year, the nice empty conference room at SNY, which the last time I went to a Super Bowl party was January 30th, 1999. I don't remember a lot of that game because there was so much socializing and maybe a little bit of drinking and things going on.
Well, first of all, can we just rewind? The fact that you remember that it was January 30th is questionable. And
it's pathetic. I have not been invited to a lot of parties in my life. So
oh, that's the underlying problem here. Yes. I think that if your team is in the Super Bowl, you watch that game by yourself. There is no room for distractions when people are talking to you, people who don't care as much.
You make a great point because there is nothing worse than watching a Super Bowl with someone who is a fan of the team that's playing. I've watched Steelers Super Bowls with Steelers fans. It's awful. If your team is in the game, lock yourself in a closet or something because nobody wants to be around it.
That's it for this Super Bowl edition of The Tailgate. Thanks once again to Osi Umenyiora for joining us. You can find him on Twitter at Osi Umenyiora. That's Ralph Vacchiano. I'm Michelle Margaux, and we'll see you in April for the NFL Draft.